Do we have sound again? I would be happy if someone in the comment section could tell me if they're hearing us now. Are you able to hear us now? I noted that. All right. So I see persons commenting yes. Um, we'll have to go that back because, of course, they did not hear what we started out with. But I asked our member of parliament to address the issue of the what they're called terming the collapse or the breakdown in talks in terms of the teachers' strike, and what would be maybe the way forward with this, and this looking at the heavy-handedness of the government on this issue.
Well, I was saying, Shanika, that I don't believe the government began this process with honesty. I don't believe the government began this process with the teachers in mind. And I don't believe they went to the table genuinely wanting what should be given to the teachers to better their lives. And make no mistake, all hardworking, tax-paying Guyanese in this country deserve a better way of life. And they deserve more in terms of their package, in terms of remuneration. Now, when I look at the discussion that was going on, and when I look at the dialogue that was happening between GTU and the Ministry of Education, I was taken aback at the first meeting where I saw that the chief education officer basically said that he was the chief negotiator and he was dialoguing with the Guyana Teachers Union. I was taken aback since then. Then I saw the second meeting come forward. The permanent secretary ended up being there negotiating on behalf of government. And it means that these people, the chief education officer and the permanent secretary, they're not policy makers. They cannot make no decision to alter upwardly, downwardly, sidely, whichever way you want to put it, the salary of anybody. They are given a program to run with. The chief education officer is responsible for the management of education across the country, and that mandate is given to him through the policies and the laws that is relating to education. The permanent secretary has to manage the Ministry of Education, and the monies that we approve in the National Assembly is what she has to use to manage the Ministry of Education and spend it within the confines of the laws that govern the nation, financial laws. She also is responsible for the staffing to follow the rules and regulations. The staff and so on. She's not appointed with the power to negotiate. And once you are going to negotiate for salary increases for teachers, it should have been a subcommittee of the cabinet. The government themselves, the ministers themselves, they have to sit down with the Guyana Teachers Union and they have to say that, okay, you're asking for 50, we can give you 25. You're asking for 25, we can give you 20. That's how the negotiating is supposed to happen. Not the chief education officer or the permanent secretary saying, okay, you asked for 50, I can't answer you. Let me go to my superior, go to them, hear what they have to say and come back to you. And then when they come back, okay, they say something. What the government is doing is removing themselves. They're trying to put a lid over themselves so that they will not be held accountable to the teachers. They're running away and they're making the chief education officer and the permanent secretary two scapegoats. And hear me out. Many people may want to say, but the chief education officer is a lackey of theirs, the permanent secretary is a lackey of theirs. Fine. But listen, those two people, they have two positions that don't require them to be no negotiator for salary increase. And that's factual. The people who should have been the negotiators are people like the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Labor, the Minister of the Public Service. and they are supposed to have an agreement with the teachers that they take to cabinet. Cabinet then ratifies, and the National Assembly, we are prepared in the National Assembly as an opposition to give our full support for any increase that is met via an agreement between the Guyana Teachers Union and the government of Guyana. We are prepared to support any increase that comes through this collective bargaining process or this negotiation or whatever process that brings both parties into agreement that this is the way forward for salary increase. Barra Jagdeo has been saying that there is no space, and I heard the PS uttering that, no fiscal space in the 2024 budget to facilitate salary increases from 2019 to 2023, which is reference the proposal that the teachers made. Listen, anything the government wants to do to increase salaries or whatever to spend money, all it requires is their cabinet saying yes, and they come to the National Assembly for ratification. They can come with a supplementary paper. The PPP has been coming with supplementary papers to the National Assembly to increase already approved budgets since 2021. 2021, we had, I think, 4 supplementary papers. What I mean is that in 2021, we approve X amount of dollars in the budget, and that was done, I think, in February or January of 2021. And in June and July, you get a supplementary paper to add more money to that budget. In December, you get another 2 that comes to add more money to that budget. The same thing happened in 2022. The same thing happened in 2023. And it is going to happen again in 2024, you're going to see. All they need to do is to come with supplementary.
From the start, you're mentioning something there. The government, you're saying they're trying to maybe cover themselves or put themselves out of it. But they are, like you said, the only persons who can agree to an increase. And, I think it was MP Joretta who made a post, and the government goes, this nation has been questioning this issue of supplementary budgets, supplementary papers going to Parliament. You yourself and other MPs have made the point that Parliament has become a place, or the National Assembly has become a place where you only go to speak about money, because half of the time Parliament is called, it is because of a supplementary paper with this government. And here it is that the vice president is sitting on national TV and telling this nation, as if, nobody has a brain, or you don't think that there is no space in the budget, so therefore nothing can be done, when we know they come every year to give lots of money for some project they never thought of before, or some money for some project that they spent out all of the money. We just had the issue where you and other MPs talked about the $7 billion given to a contractor who has not built one thing, not even dig a piece of soil. And they went to supplementary papers and gave in total about $7 billion to that contractor. And here he is saying to the nation that the nation teachers, the persons who mold every single profession under the sun, cannot have an increase. It's to say that Guyanese generally, and people who are not in that, the 3S, are absolutely unimportant when it comes to this government.
But Shanika, when you go back in history, and you will see that the People's Progressive Party never had an interest in ensuring that the public sector is taken care of. They never believed in strengthening the public sector. They never believed in having an enhanced public sector to deliver proper services to the population. They have always been a political party that seeks to grab, and they seek to exploit, and they seek to ensure that their pockets are filled. When you look at the People's Progressive Party's track record, And you remember what is it that when we went into office in 2015 and found, you recognize where the People's Progressive Party's focus is on. And it's all about getting monies for themselves. Recently, the money has been so much that they have begun to include friends and families. But before 2015, it was all about themselves. We must recall Pradoville 1 and Pradoville 2 was built for them and their friends and families. We must recall that the public service was in a terrible state under the Barjagdio's presidency and Donald Ramotar's presidency. We must recall that the services people were receiving from the health institutions, from the schools, and all across the country. We must recall the deplorable state the buildings were in. Listen, the Minister of Education always says, Priya, the APNU AFC didn't build no secondary school when they came to government from 2015 to 2020, and she's right. But what she's falling short of saying is that we were busy fixing the deplorable primary and existing secondaries that were there that she left because she was the Minister of Education in 2014 and she left that office in 2015 of May. And when we took over, we had to renovate schools. We had to get proper furniture back into schools. We had to make we had to complete schools that weren't finished. We had to make the environment more conducive. Guyanese in their right minds know that there were massive investment in the education sector under the coalition. They know that we ensured there were proper furniture in the schools that were existing. They know there were a number of schools, several schools in deplorable states, and we had to make it conducive for learning. And we were also faced with dilemmas in the other sectors, the health sector. I was responsible for Region 3, Shanika. Wales Primary School, terrible state. We had to renovate it. Go and see it now. We had to renovate Essequibo Island Secondary School, Leg 1 Secondary. We had to renovate, I think it was Lanabali Primary School. We renovated Parika Secondary. And I can go through the entire coast. So I am not disputing that we didn't build. It's just that we didn't get the chance to because we were focusing on what was existing and bettering what we have. And after that, we were going to ensure that we add to the complement so that education can be delivered better. And listen, the results that the coalition saw in government, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, even the 2020, 2021, and 2022 results of this country belong to the coalition. And when you do a comparison of what it was in 2014 and the 2015 results which belong to the PPP, you will know and understand that it's only fair to vote the coalition back into government.
I see here a comment that I want to address because it was one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because one of the things the government is as well telling the teachers is that they're only willing to give increase for 2024, although the teachers have been asking from 2019 to 2024. I mean, not even with a compromise to say, okay, we came in office in 2020, we'll deal with from 2020. And the person is commenting here saying in 2020, 2021, and 2022, teachers shouldn't get paid because they were at home.
That's not fair. It's not fair.
These are the kind of things that the PPPC propaganda is pushing in the air, when we know teachers were working.
Teachers had to be
from
very
2020
creative. They had to be very creative during that COVID period.
And making their own lessons, handing out, finding ways to go into the community.
They had to ensure also that internet access was at their home.
Correct.
So that they had to use their mobile device or their electronic device that they had at home.
School.
They had to change their modus operandi, because a teacher that has been teaching for 30 years in the classroom, to now tell her that you need to go teach on Zoom and to now engage these children on Zoom,
with technology.
yeah, it was a more stressful place for teachers who were accustomed to one way of doing it.
And I also know of teachers who had to create the papers. They did different boards and they had to go and hand those out
Yeah,
personally
listen to
in
me.
different communities.
My son is going to write the NGSA exam that is coming up in May, and he is one who suffered at the due to COVID, because at the time when COVID came out, he would have been in grade 2, and he would have not missed, but he had to readjust to learn in a electronic or a virtual environment the grade 2, 3, and 4 work. And his teacher, he was at Lenora Primary School at that time, and his teacher was online at 9 o'clock every morning to 2:30 in the afternoon, and some days go beyond. And internet was consumed. It came at a cost.
Correct.
Electricity bill, telephone bill, all different manners of expenses were a part of that whole environment. So to say that teachers did not work is a very untruthful statement. Teachers are the heart of our nation. If we didn't have teachers, we would have been a nation of probably rebels. But teachers impart in our young generation good from bad. They try their best to mold the nation so that we can have proper individuals. I am a product of proud teachers from the Essequibo Coast, C.V. Noon's Primary School, and Anne Regina Secondary School. And I know that my teachers did well. And I know that they did well for many other students. And I believe teachers deserve a better salary. I believe they deserve better benefits. And I believe that they should continue to fight for it. They should not have to, but the PPP has created an environment where they have to fight for it. And that is the unfortunate situation.
I want us to touch a bit because, we've been talking about all of this leads up to how the government is using the finances of the country in doing what it must. And you are a member of the Public Account Committee of the Parliament, and where you basically, what you do there is audit what is being done by governments. And we know that when the government came to power very early on, I believe it was in 2021 or 2022, the quorum set up. 2022. The setup of the quorum for that committee was changed while we stood and we warned and we talked about the challenges that would have arisen when this proposal was made. Of course, the government went ahead with their one-seat majority and changed that quorum. And now we're in a position where what is being said, basically, you're unable to audit the government. Let's talk about that.
Well, let me tell you first of all that the procedure the Public Accounts Committee has is for, and I'm looking at something on my phone because I'm going to make reference to it. The procedure the Public Accounts Committee has, the Parliament staff, is for them to send an email out to every member on a Wednesday. And on that Wednesday, you have to indicate whether you're going to be available or not for Public Accounts Committee. So I received my email Wednesday gone, and I responded and I said that I am available, notwithstanding me seeing that we will not have a Public Accounts Committee. I believe that the PPP side will not show up on Monday, and I await to be proven wrong. That was my email that I sent back Wednesday gone, right? I said, yes, I am available, but I'm foreseeing the PPP will not show up. So I just got an email from the Public Accounts Committee department. They're saying cancellation of Public Accounts Committee. And it has given us the reasons, as in the persons who are available and unavailable. And all 5 PPP members are unavailable for Monday's PAC. So clearly, my prediction
Was
was
correct.
accurate. So I'm predicting here again that in 2025, the People's Progressive Party will be out of government, and we in the government, APNU, AFC, will ensure that we revert that motion that they
Yes.
brought and passed at the National Assembly for there to be for the change of quorum, and we will put it back to where it was. Because the quorum has always been any three members since 1957.
All right.
From 1957 to 2022, the quorum for PAC has been always been any three members. The People's Progressive Party has no shame to suddenly arrive and with such huge budgets don't want to reach to ensure that the Auditor General's report or reports are examined based on his findings. It's a shameful thing that happened. And I want to tell you this to add to the same teachers thing that we were talking about. We in the PNCR, in the APNU, we went through the budget line by line. We examined the numbers. And when we did a comparison of what the numbers were in 2023 to what they are in 2024, we have suggested that there is space for every teacher in this country to right now get $100,000 one-off bonus. And we found the numbers and we showed them where they can get it from. Because they have extravagant spending on the fuel and lubricant, on the vehicle spares and maintenance, on the dietary, on the meals and refreshment. The thing is, budget 2024 in the recurrent expenditure has a lot of money for extravagance, a lot of money to benefit only a few. And if they are to revert those figures that they have in 2024 to what it was in 2023, not to go still way back to 2020, just right at 2023. And if they do prudent financial management within their ministries, they can spend what they spent in 2023 and have a lot to give to the teachers in 2024. And that will not even hamper or tamper with the 1.146 trillion that they have passed in the National Assembly. All it calls for is variaments. Move it from here, put it here, move it from there, put it here, and you accumulate and you have to give to the teachers. And if you need the National Assembly's approval for that, the opposition is prepared 100% to support any increase for teachers or any form of public servants. What we're not prepared to support is increase to the ministers of government, because as you know, and I know, since they came to government to now, they have seen over $200,000 increase in their salaries. And they have seen increases also in their benefits. And they talk about fat cat salaries. They have fatter cats over there in the PPP.
One of the MPs, I believe it was Mr. Christopher Jones, just that you brought that up, would have said that, in contrast to what Chetty would have said, Guyanese we're living on a donkey cart, but living a Cadillac lifestyle. That's what he would have said back then. But what he would have said, what we're seeing now is actually the reverse. The economy is a Cadillac lifestyle, while the people are living like they're in a donkey cart economy. And one of the things that is striking, and everywhere you go, people talk to you. And I think the part that this government continues to miss every day or does not care about, the issues being raised are bread and butter issues. Every single day you go to the market, it is difficult to decide what you will take and what you will not take because you can't afford it. And these are the reasons we're having the issues that we're having. People have been saying, there is so much road work happening at this point, and I'm telling you, for me, it's becoming a worry because every morning you wake up, you go into a different street, you see something digging out something, and in some cases there is no relevance for it, at least at the time it is being done. But yet still, people are telling you, we can't eat bricks, we can't eat concrete. But this government refused to accept that fact, and they're continuing along this line.
I'm going to respond to that by speaking directly to your viewers.
Mhm.
And I want the viewers to understand that Irfan Ali and his government, they are creating a facade, trying to convince people that our country is in a better state. They will go to Region 9 and they will talk about all the developments, perceived developments in the other regions, with an intent to put in the heads of the people of Region 9 that things are happening. Then they will come out of Region 9 and they will go to Region 2. And they're going to talk in Region 2 about everything that is happening in Region 9, trying to create in the heads of people in Region 2 that everything is nice that is happening in this country. But we must not be fooled. We must register to the People's Progressive Party that we have transformed ourselves and we are better educated and equipped with information. Social media has played a very integral role in exposing the People's Progressive Party for who they are. When you look across this country from Region 1 to Region 6, and then you look down to Region 9, all over, you will see that the quality of life our people have now is worse than what it was 5 years ago. You will see that it's only a small percentage of people who are hogging the largest portions of the pie. And the crumbs is what the PPP is dusting around for the ordinary hardworking Guyanese in this country. When they go into communities that they perceive to be APNU AFC communities, such as West and East Rumvelt, and when you look at what they're doing there, they're paving back some roads or they're building a road and so on. Ask yourself, why in the stronghold PPP communities they are distributing $250,000 liquid cash into their hands, but then they're coming and giving you a road and they want you to run behind them and jump up sky high for them? Why is it that you can't get the $250,000 in your pockets too to better your lives? Do not let the People's Progressive Party fool you. And let me tell you something. It is you and me and Shanika and everybody else who are sensible and who understand what is happening that has or have that responsibility to fix it. Many people, when they message me, Shanika, and when they tell me about this complaints and that complaints and all the others, I tell them one thing. 2025 elections, we better get it right.
Correct.
Because if you want to fix it, you have to start the process. And it requires you educating the people in your households who are at voting age, ensuring that they play their role by way of being on the voters list, registration. And if you know that there are people who are dead and cannot be a part of that list, you must object to it. And you must make the complaints to the GCOM offices across the country. We have to do this thing, Shanika, holistically now.
Yeah.
We have to all become involved. We have to all play our part. We have to all ensure that we do what is necessary to keep the People's Progressive Party out of power.
Correct.
They have shown us what they're capable of from 1992 to 2015. And you have seen how it was difficult for the APNU AFC to make corrective measures from what they left us with. And that foundation is still there. Don't let us let the People's Progressive Party continue on this way towards only making themselves rich. All Guyanese must be lifted with the one tide, not just some selected few. And what we have right now is a group of people who can eat expensive, who can drive around Guyana expensive, who can do everything they want, and another group which is of a larger caliber that are punishing to even put a single meal on their table. We got to fix it. And we got to fix it by voting out the PPP and returning the APNU AFC to government.
You know, as we talk about that, I want your comment on this issue. I saw, I think it was yesterday or sometime early in the week, there was this I think it was the Minister Todd who would have made the statement, and of course um the vice president came to, you know, smoothing it off. I believe it was yesterday, in regards to the integration of Venezuelans into all of the communities. And I talk about this on the backdrop as well as you just talked about election and what we're capable of doing. And you know, as citizens, as you said, and I my viewers know, I tell them all the time, we have a responsibility to our nation to keep any government in check in these, in every area possible. And you know, there are lots of persons with their thoughts on this issue of them integrating. We can understand, and of course we know that there are quite a few Venezuelans who would have left Guyana during the time when it was all good and well in Venezuela, and many of them have now returned. But particularly, and you know, not having this separation between what is a migrant and what is a refugee, you know, that we're not even talking along this line in terms of governments. What's your thought on that?
Now, let me say first of all that as a CARICOM country, as a Commonwealth country, as a country that has subscribed to various other in, international organizations and so on, we subject ourselves, we subject ourselves, the country Guyana, to international practices, international norms, and if we can be of a safe haven to human life, we must. And I think that we have extended that hand to our Venezuelan neighbors, brothers and sisters, and so on. But we have to be mindful and we have to be careful to what extent and to what degree we move in that direction. It must not be something that is just loosely done and openly done, because our country is a small one. We have only 750,000 or thereabout people. Venezuela has millions of people, and we have to ensure that the Venezuelans that are in Guyana are properly documented. We know directly where they are, and we must determine where we're placing them in our society. So if Venezuelans come to our shore, there must be some mechanism in place where every single name is taken down. If they have identification cards, copies are made of them. And we have to ensure that wherever they are going or wherever they are to be placed, it is well within our registry so that accounting for them is there in place. We don't have that system in Guyana. And that is why we are at this vulnerable stage. We have a situation in Guyana where people just come, drop off at the shores, and they go wherever they have to go, unknowing to the Guyanese authority. We cannot afford to have that kind of approach in our country. We have to be a little bit more determined to fix what is already there that has been broken by the manner in which the People's Progressive Party has operated. And I think that if we don't focus on doing that, then we can only be guaranteed an increase in crime, an increase in all of the wrongdoings. And the evidence is there. Look, most recently, the amount of people who are associated with criminal activities in this country right now that are of Venezuelan background is a large number. Look, just the other day I was reading a Chinese man was murdered and three Venezuelans were held. So all of these things are things that the PPP has allowed to really put a dent on the Guyanese people, and it is causing us now to live in greater fear because I don't know if our security forces are capable of managing it at the current stage, but we should not allow it to get out of hand, my friend. We have to deal with it and deal with it condemningly.
All right, as we're basically out of time, but I want to give you the opportunity because there are a lot more things that we should have been able to talk about today, but we haven't been able to. But you can speak to the audience and let them know if there is anything else that you think we did not touch on that you want to say something on here today.
Well, all I want to tell the viewers is that in order for us in the APNU, AFC, to fix the many problems that they are bringing to our attention, in order for us to be able to address all the burning concerns that they continue to bombard us with, we can only do that if we're in government. And I appeal to them to see that during the 5 years that the coalition government was there, 2015 to 2020, take note of the fact that of those 5 years, one was actually completely out due to the fact of this Charandas Prasad's behavior, and to recognize that in the 2016, 2017, 2018 years, the focus was all about making the small man the better man. It was always about ensuring that people have economic strength. It was always about ensuring that there's equity in the distribution of resources. It was always to ensure that everybody is treated in a manner that is fair. I know that the public sector, for example, was seeing great improvement, especially in the case of health care delivery, in the case of education delivery, in the case of agriculture, public works, you name it. There was an approach that was focused on ensuring that a solid foundation is there to deliver quality service to the people. We did not get everything right. We made some mistakes. We can only learn from them, but there were tremendous progress in bettering the lives of the ordinary Guyanese citizens. And I appeal to them to ensure that they play their role in the next election, to ensure that the APNU AFC is returned to government so that we can deliver and continue to deliver a better service that can better their lives.
All right. Thank you so much. And again, of course, thank you for joining Facing the Nation today. My viewers, as you know, I will always implore you to continue as we progress to hold this government accountable in every form, fashion, and style. And I'm also saying here, if the teachers, if the GTU decides to go back on the streets to strike, I believe this time is our opportunity as a people, as a country, join them and make our voices heard as well, because this level of disrespect that is being met out to our teachers, our public sector, and ordinary Guyanese generally is something that we should not accept as a people. So I implore you to continue to hold the government accountable in every way that we can, and of course, bring whatever information you have places that may need visits, etc. You can send that information as well to our social media platforms. And, let's see and get things done in our communities as we continue to push back on this dictatorship way of this current government. And whenever election is called, we finally will see the backs of the PPP. I want to thank you for joining Faith in the Nation today. And of course, join us next week, same time, same place. Do have a wonderful afternoon.